All right, next step is we're beginning the experiment process. And the way that we start that is we come up with a list of procedures and materials. So you're going to notice that there's going to be comments that accompany most of the slides. So that's just a way for me to kind of bullet point what I cover in this video as a handy reminder. Okay. So for the materials, you're going to list every single item that you need to conduct the experiment. Okay. You might find it easier to list the steps or the procedures um, to conduct your experiment, and that might inform you better of what you're going to need. Okay. Uh, the idea is that your procedures are clear enough. They don't have to be super detailed, right? You don't have to be super specific. They just have to be clear enough, and they have to follow in an order that makes sense, so that somebody just walking by saw your materials and your procedures, that they would just be able to conduct that experiment without having any other background knowledge. The directions were clear enough that they could conduct the experiment. Okay. So, as an example, if you were doing the you're testing the material hypothesis, right? The type of paper. Uh, one of your materials is definitely going to be newspaper, right? For both hypotheses, you are going to need both of you are going to need an 8 by 11 copy paper. Okay, because that's going to be your control group, which we'll cover in the next few slides. Okay, so that is vital that both either hypothesis that you're testing, whether it's size or whether it's the type of material, you will need at least one sheet of 8 by 11 copy paper. That's just your standard computer paper. Okay, if you have access to that, hopefully you do. All right, and then you'll have to go through and think about all the other materials you're going to need. You're going to need a way to measure. So if you can find a measuring tape, that's going to be probably the most effective form of measurement. So you would include that on the materials. Now, if you're running out of room, you can absolutely increase the size of this, right? As big as you want. You can decrease the size of the font, right? And you can fit a lot more materials on there. And likely you're going to have to do something like that. Okay. Probably both, so that you can get all of the materials listed. And then your procedures, you list out your procedures, right? So you just think about what you need to do first. Okay. So once you have your materials, you'll know what to do. So the procedure should be the same, right? For every time that you throw your paper airplane, you need to do that exact same thing for all three prototypes in order for it to be a valid experiment, right? We know that if you took a head start on one of your materials or a larger size airplane than you did for another one, well, that wouldn't be good data. That'd be tainted data because your testing procedures weren't valid. You weren't doing the same thing the same way for all of the materials or sizes. Okay, so make sure that you list that in your procedures, because that's very important. All right, and again, you don't have to be super detailed, but it might help to just kind of start doing it. Right, gather your materials, start doing your experiment, and then work your way back and be like, okay, what did I do first? Oh yes, this, and that. Okay. All right. See you in the next slide.